Hello, Smite fans, and welcome to week 3 of the OPL. I know my name is not Husey, but he fortunately is not going to be here today. My name instead is Alpha Jackal, and I'm joined by Lynx Clones. We take you through today's action, which is going to kick off with Royalty versus Corvidae. Lynx, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It's good to be back into the commentary box for OPL again. And it's going to be quite a fun game we got here today. We've got 4th place versus 6th, and currently, Corvidae, they're only one win ahead of Royalty, so it's going to be quite a close match from the looks of things.
Yeah, don't forget, these two teams last met in relegations where Royalty found themselves 2-1 winners. Can that happen again? All remains to be seen as we head into the picks and bans. Something to note, though, that Hazy will be subbing in for Cosner today for Corvidae, meaning there's going to be a bit of a mid-lane switch-up, and it can affect Royalty a bit. But Corvidae, they are no strangers to substitutes themselves, having had to use Prenzel for quite a few of their OPL games this split.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Usually the mid lane is quite a key role when it comes to Smite. Usually it's the role that rolls around with the jungler as well as the support during that mid game and helps set up a lot of the kills, especially if you can pick up gods like Yanis, gods like Raijin, gods you can easily rotate around and get that extra little bit of mobility as Alcong and Terra are going to be our first two bans this game.
Alcon with an unusually low ban percentage here in Oceania, but these two teams have played it to very, very high levels. Royal Custard and Trilogy have been the top two Alcon players in the region, and I'm surprised to see Royalty the ones with the first pick banning it away. Raijin also going to be taken off the table by Royalty, option over to Corvidae, taken away to Susano. Nemesis has been left open, and every single time she has been first picked.
Yes, there is absolutely no reason not to pick Nemesis, especially in this tank boom meta. You can trade away percentage-based protections instead of just by flat numbers, meaning no matter how many protections you have, if you are going to be anywhere near Nemesis and she can find a target, she is going to go on you. And you combine that with quite a lot of burst and possibly even something like a Fafnir, guilds like Barkus in the support role, and you can have some really devastating rotations.
A very early Sylvanas pickup here from Corvidae, especially given that Fafnir was still open. Surprised to see this one picked up, but Sol also going to be taken. Could be a flex pick option here. Can go either mid or ADC, whichever suits best. Not to mention the Disapparate tool gets great use against this Nemesis, because if she uses that Divine Judgment, Sol just disapparates away, and she's absolutely fine.
Yes, but poor Sylvanas with not a single escape ability is going to be feeling the wrath of that Divine Judgment. But we do see the Fafnir as well as a Ram picked being given here. The Ram most likely going to be going to that duo lane. We have sometimes seen it go to the mid lane, but with a Fafnir and Toy, it most certainly should be going to that duo lane.
The Neath pickup is a bit early as well here from Corvidae, meaning that you know that one of Sol or Neath is going to go to mid or ADC. I would like to have seen this left as a pickup until after the second banning phase, forcing Royalty to really pick and choose carefully their picks and bans, maybe even waste a couple. As Odin and Thor are taken off the table, Royalty, of course, going to be looking to ban out some junglers here, given that Trilogy has been one of the standout players for Corvidae and still has not picked up his god.
Yes, and there aren't actually too many junglers left that are actually that top pick sort of level. You could maybe look at something like a Sir Ked, maybe a Humbats, possibly even a Wheelix if you're looking to try and find that little pick off. But otherwise, it's going to be a lot harder, especially now with that Fenrir ban coming through as well. Not many gods are left on the table.
I would love to see an Wheelix combines very well with the Sylvanas, stops that pick going over to Royalty if they decide to put Nemesis in that solo lane, if they really wanted to, but Hombats is going to be the pickup. And that if Royalty really wanted to, they could put Nemesis in the solo lane, get a Wheelix and put a lot of pressure on this Neath and Hombats combination. With Sylvanas' low mobility, meaning he's not really going to be able to help peel for the carries and the squishies if a Wheelix does get picked up. Instead, it's going to be the Yanis and Vamana. Suspira, he's no stranger to facing up against Vamanas in lane. This time he's going to be piloting one. It's a very dominant early game god in terms of a lane bully potential. Late game can do well, but he can't really bully out a Guan Yu.
Yeah, so the Guan Yu pickup is quite a good pickup against Avaman. It just means you can also like basically shred his protections in lane, and if you take quite a bit of the harass, which you will be taking against Ivana, just use the conviction, heal it right back up. And if anything, the Guan Yu has a much better team fight than the Vaman. Vaman can go big baby and start stomping around, but the cavalry charge stun and damage is something that is a very strong threat to be careful of.
So we're going to go right into game, and Royalty on the left-hand side, Corvidae on the right-hand side. Royalty, they've still yet to pick up a win here in the OPL. Corvidae found their first win in 2 splits already. Suspira getting a bit of damage put onto him. Suspira hasn't had the greatest of time since joining the OPL. but he has shown some flashes of brilliance, especially in his latest game up against Alpha Sydney, where he engaged correctly in the second game and actually managed to help his team find some form of momentum and some foothold in that game.
And if he's able to get ahead this game on Vermont against the Guan Yu, it will just put Royalty in a really nice position. Corvidae, they've gone for a very strong early game lineup. They need to push this early game. They've got the Guan Yu for the early push and damage. They've got the Hunbat's ultimate at level 5. They've got the Neath ultimate level 5, plus an early Spirit Arrow damage. Combined with the Transcendence, they have the Soul as well as the Sylvanas in lane, meaning quite an easy duo lane. Not to mention both their ultimates are very strong teamfight ultimates. But Royalty, they just can bide their time and wait till the late game, and if they can shut down this Guan Yu and ensure that Suspiria gets a nice lead, if Nemesis, if she wants, she can look for a gank possibly level 5, can just make the laning phase all that easy and just allow Royalty a much easier win.
My problem right now for Corvidae is the fact that they go up against this team comp from Royalty, and that they'll be able to rotate around the map very effectively with this Yanis, and they don't really have to be forced to build into a Sanctuary. They've got the Purification due to the high amount of CC Corvidae have got, but then they're free to build as many Curses as they want to counter this healing. The slows coming out from Nemesis, as well as Vermana, are going to be huge. I'm looking at Vermana to build into a Pestilence second or third item. Third item, because you need the breastplate of Valor to really sustain up against this Guan Yu and this Hunbat's jungle, to then start rotating and punish this high sustain comp from Corvidae.
Yes, but at Corvidae, if they're able to basically draw out these team fights, eventually the disparity will become clear and the sustain will be too much for Royalty. Royalty, they do need to respect that early game, because if they don't, they're going to have a rough time. But it's just all these power spikes, you can kind of see it, especially in the dual lane as well as the mid lane. Hazy, he'll be hitting his stride around that mid game and just carry on up and up. Neath, she usually hits that mid game stride and starts falling off a lot harder than a lot of the other hunters in the game. And then Ram, another god who takes a little bit of time to get online, but unlike Sol, who really again hits her stride in that mid game, will really just be going up and allowing them to split push very quickly thanks to the pick me up.
Well, Trilogy already learning from his OPL experience, picking up a Wrath in the jungle with that Hunbat spin. He's going to have a lot of objective pressure and all of clear time, but he's still not going to be able to get to the mid harpies as fast as Nemesis, who decides not to go for the lane in solo lane, instead pick up these right side mid harpies. Neath forced under the tower by this Yanis. Early rotation from Hunbat and Guan Yu, going to get ignored. They're just going to go straight for these Fire Elementals instead. Potential there to wrap around and get a kill. It's a 3v2.
Yes, but Corvidae, they have decided to go the safe route. They do not want to feed the Yanis or the Nemesis. Instead, they're just going to rely on that Neath Spirit Arrow and the overhand smash to clear out the wave. But it looks like Royalty, they'll also be getting their second mid camps now on the left-hand side, as well as they've now been able to get the ones on the right-hand side.
The Yanis going into the Soul Stone, as well as the Lost Artifact, has 0 health sustain, apart from the 1 health potion, which he does have in his inventory. So has to be very careful about the amount of poke he takes. And Neath, one of the best gods in this mid lane at being able to poke out the opponents, rivaling that of Vulcan, really.
Yes, you can just place that Broken Weave on the ground, and as long as Hazy is accidentally in the wrong position and nowhere near a wall where you can portal out, he's just going to get rooted, and then the Hunbats will bring on the pain as well. But Hazy, he's just being, again, just sitting back, letting Royal Custard help him clear the wave, and whenever he sees need, he's just being patient, which is absolutely fine. They don't need to rush. But over in the dual lane, though, we do see Corvidae have quite a convincing lead, as they've already forced Shank and Thogoras under tower.
Well, Pure Might was low just about 10-12 seconds ago, but thanks to the heal coming out from Sylvanas' Wisps, doesn't actually got appointed to Radiance just yet, so the heal will only get stronger and stronger from here. Classification taking a bit of damage there from the Thogoras and Shank. But I'm having a look at the right hand side. The Suspiria taking a lot of damage from Cryopraetor, has access to his Colossal Fury. I could look to go in here on this Guan Yu.
Yes, he does have that level advantage, but as soon as his wave gets cleared, so will Cryopraetor, and he will also be able to actually use that cavalry charge. Luckily, Vermana, as he said, he can pop that big baby, be CC immune, and not have to worry too much about the stun of the cavalry charge, but he doesn't have the same level of sustain as Guan Yu, even though he does have that HP 5 from his ultimate. Conviction is just a much better heal, simply because it is that burst of heal.
So, of course, we're still at patch 3.17, and the tank boots are going to be picked up by pretty much everybody else in the entire map, left, right, and center, especially by the supports. And for me, Fafnir benefits from this new item greatly, because he already gets accelerated farm thanks to his passive, so he can really afford to forego the Traveler's Boots and not pick up that extra amount of gold farm.
Well, not to mention as well, his passive, for the amount of gold he has, gives him extra protection. So, on top of the 5 stacks you'll be getting from the reinforced shoes, giving you 25 physical and magical, then add your gold on top of that, giving you even more protections. It is very hard to get through early game, and there's not many people on the side of Corvidae who can really shred the protections other than the Guan Yu.
B-Buts have respawned. The jungler should be heading towards them right now. Trilogy already there, already taking his down with Desecrator, clearing out the mid lane. Is Hazy and Royal Custard going towards their speed buff now? Guan Yu already having the tank boots as well as the mana. Both of them looking to go into the front line when they start making their rotations in this mid game.
Yes, but for now, they're both just going to be farming and trying to get their Breastplate of Valors online. Both of them rely quite heavily on their cooldowns as they're quite ability-based as they've both gone into that Bluestone Pendant. The Umbrella Ring as well as the Tail of Assault both hitting a lot of times. And with the tank boots though, it means though in the duo lane that if Casification or Shank hit themselves up with reinforced shoes, they can just proc their tank boots even more. But it looks, actually sorry, scratch that, that's just the Flagorous going into the Warrior Tarbite. We might have actually seen him go into the Ninja Tarbite with the brand new increased attack speed, but giving him that extra bit of power on the Astral Arrows is not something you want to give up.
Well, he's going up against the Soul and really needs that extra power in lane. Doesn't really have to worry about boxing too much because he's a Rama. He really can accelerate. He can really excel at the box potential, especially against magical ADC. So getting the extra power online rather than the extra attack speed, he's going to be relying on his pick-me-up for that attack speed steroid more often than not.
Yes, and if he can get that moment where Soul leaves lane, he'll be able to straight away just go straight for that tower and push as hard as he can with the pick-me-up. Same situation though with Soul, thanks to Unstable Manifestation, kind of basically making up for the fact that Neith does not have the same sort of tower push as a lot of other hunters, and it makes it a lot easier. We do see Trilogy going very deep into Royalty's jungle, possibly looking for Flagoras.
But he's making his rotation now with Flagoras towards this Goldfield, just putting down a ward, spots out Trilogy, so knows that there's a gank potentially heading his way, going to play this lane safer now. And he's calling over reinforcements. Royal Custard and Shank recognize the fact that Homats is no longer over there. Desecrator not going to get hit by the stun. Been a pretty passive game so far, both these teams respecting each other, but they need to start punishing each other's mistakes, really.
Yes, and that's the one thing I'm really kind of surprised about. Usually you see a Blink being picked up by Sylvanas. I can understand this game thanks to the Nemesis slow. It's going to be a lot harder, and it looks like Royal Custard might actually find Casification by itself. There goes the Divine Judgment.
And out comes the true space of time as well as Fear No Evil. They're trying to peel for this Sylvanas. The sprint has already been used. 1, 2, 3 shots, and not all of them are going to hit. The root is going to hit though. Royal Custard going deep for Casification. Trilogy are both going to be out. Desecrator by himself, isolated 4 versus 1. Have been chased away by Nemesis, but Royalty, they can't find the kill. They force away Corvidae from their own jungle.
But now with that Fafnir ultimate as well as the Fear No Evil and Divine Judgment down, it's just going to basically allow Corvidae to kind of back up, heal with the Sylvanas whips, just stand a tower, and Neith, since she's already got her Transcendent stacking, just use a single Spirit Arrow and just clean the wave up in one go.
Well, I'm looking at Hazy as well on this. Yanis. He spawns himself a Doom Orb, giving himself 40 magical power, 200 mana, and 7 MP5. But really, the benefit from this item is that when you get some of the stacks online, 2 magical power per stack, giving you a total of 140 power at 50 stacks. It's not an item you can really fight into clinically. You have to make sure that you kill him a couple times before you can then really look to box him out.
Yes, and due to the fact that Yanis has all this mobility compared to the rest of Corvidae, he can use that threshold, the portal, or the 3 space in time, really position himself behind the front line of both the Guan Yu as well as the Sylvanas, who will both be healing up. But Trilogy, now just kind of going back to his jungle as his speed buff has indeed spawned.
Well, given that 3 members of both teams have picked up the tank boots, you're really looking at the ADCs and mid laners as being the prime focus of these junglers. No less so on the Nemesis front because she can shred away those protections from those tank boots, but I'm looking at Trilogy to really put some pressure onto Hazy and Thagoras here, but Thagoras and Hazy both playing incredibly safe.
Yes, that's exactly all they need to do as they try to steal away the mid-camps. I think they were able to get one of the birds that were waiting there as Casification gets a nice little hammer from Fafnir to the face as Hazy is now rotating to the left-hand side mid-camps to get those as well.
Royal Custard has his ultimate available, and they know that the sprint is going to be down from Casification, so they can look to go on this Sylvanas pretty much freely at this point. They have to make sure they are grouped up and ready to go at a moment's notice. Corvidae recognizing this, playing themselves back a bit further as well, waiting for 25 more seconds before they can safely engage onto this Royalty comp.
Yes, and it looks like Royalty and Corvidae are about to collide as Casification has walked right almost next to that Royalty ward as they're looking around that red buff area, possibly even for an invasion as Trilogy has now also made his way around with a teleport now coming in from Cryo.
It's a big relic usage there for Cryo, but it just to secure a red buff, and it doesn't even get secured. Royalty get it with a slice from Thagoras. So an invade and a teleport wasted there, but it's not all lost just yet as the Gold Fury is up and available, as is the Wrath from Trilogy.
Yes, and with the Wrath as well as the Supernova, the Wrath of Terror, the Fear No Evil, and as well as the Cavalry Charge, they have literally everything to get this Gold Fury, and Corvidae who indeed secure this Gold Fury.
And when the fight does break out, Casification going to be calling Cryo going to be receiving the Divine Judgment. The leap is going to miss from Shank. Casification is low, he's isolated, and he is down. Thagoras with the first blood. gives Royalty some gold back for that lost Gold Fury. As we take a look at the graphs, they've steadied themselves out a bit. Experience going the way of Royalty, gold going the way of Corvidae, as you would expect.
Yeah, this is not going to really change too much. And now Royalty, they can actually look to push the mid lane now that chaosification isn't there. But instead, they're actually going to go possibly for an invade into the backhand. So just get the timers on the speed buff, really, as they now have a bit more pressure on this map. As now Suspira looking to try and steal away Cryopotator's buff.
Well, this has been Suspira's main problem since the start of the splits. He separated himself from the team one too many times and just forced stuff that doesn't really need to be forced. He needs to stay part of the team and stay as a group when in that sort of situation.
Yes, but now he's just going to be going back to the wave, as now both solo laners are back in their respective lanes, just getting more farm. They're actually fairly close in both net worth as well as levels. Actually, it's about only a 500 gold difference, with the Guan Yu having just a slight lead since he was able to get that Gold Fury, but otherwise, they are both on their way, as the Guan Yu has now also finished off his Breastplate of Valor, a very important item for Guan Yu, as he is just constantly trying to reduce those cooldowns, both with the Conviction, the Painless, as well as the Breastplate of Valor itself.
But they have to have at the back of the mind so that the Chorus was the one that got that first blood, meaning he's going to have the Severus Gauntlets and the rest of his items online 200 gold sooner than they would have liked to have had him. And it means Pure Might's going to have a bit of help from Trilogy over on this left-hand side. Exactly what Trilogy's doing. He's making his rotation over to this left-hand side. He has that Finno Weevil available, but the Purification from the Chorus is still up and ready to be used.
Well, currently Trilogy knows he has the Ward Vision thanks to that Sentry one. He's able to get right behind the Goras, and there comes the Stellar Burst and the Fear No Evil.
And now goes to Purification, but the Sacred Monkey not going to be able to teleport to it as it went all the way to the minions, forced out to the Astral Strike. The rotations are coming out quick and fast with that 3 space and time for Royalty as they defend their ADC.
That was exactly what Hazy needed to do there. Just fire that 3 space and time, ensure that Puma and Trilogy, they could not go in. Because if they did, Shank, Royal, Cust, and Hazy all would have rotated in and just come with the cleanup crew, and it would have been a very nice backfill for the Goras. And Corvidae, even though they need to be aggressive, they can't be aggressive to the point where they're just throwing away lives and just feeding for Goras and the rest of the team.
But Royalty actually having the better farm at this point, despite the fact that Corvidae got that Gold Fury, and they've been managing to find these contestable objectives in the mid camps and the fire elementals, which have since stopped spawning because it's past the 10-minute mark. On the left-hand side, the Gore is going quite low again. Pure Might pushing up a bit too far, and he could be punished for it as Hazy and Shaq have made their rotations with Royal Custard.
Yes, but the Disapparator is just too strong, giving her that incorporeal form, and she's just able to get some Wisp from Sylvanas and back up quite nicely, but she doesn't have too much mana, and Royal Custard, if they want, they can look to Dire with Royal Custard, still has the Divine Judgment ready to go, and so with Shankus with the Draconic form.
But the Goros was about half HP, and if they decided to all in, the Goros had to stay back, had to stay safe, otherwise they could have all in and got a kill onto this ADC, meaning the trade would really not have been worth it. So good play there for Royalty to hold back, because they recognize that in the late game, they can take this. They've got the Rama, who does extremely well in the late game. They've got Famana, who does extremely well in zoning and killing the squishies in the late game. And, of course, you have Nemesis, Tank Shredder Supreme.
Yes, and it's really going to be down to, I feel like, that the ADC is going to really make quite a big difference. But especially with Goras in that late game, if you build something like a triple crib or even just double crib, a Trilogy looking to rotate again with the Fear No Evil.
And then out comes the Will Weaver as well. Sanctuary has been forced. That's the second relic of his down. Gonna go up to the air again, but Trilogy denies the takeoff as the Goros comes crashing back down to earth. Dead, but 3 space and time has been used. Royalty on their path over here to try and get Zac Vengeance for their fallen brother. Not gonna be able to do it as Pure Might and Trilogy have made their escapes.
That is exactly what Corvidae wanted to happen. Not only did they waste 2 relics, they wasted the 3 space and time as well. So now Corvidae, they have a much greater roam on this map if they want to rotate around and not have to worry about getting dropshipped on by the rest of Royalty. As well as they've just put behind the Goras. That's the one person who's they were starting to get that nice little lead on thanks to that first blood. But now they can allow Puma to have a much more free lane and possibly get a bit of tower push in. And when Soul gets a free tower to herself, there's a lot of trouble that Royalty just do not want to mess with.
Well, it's not like it's Release Soul where the tower was gone in a blink of an eye if you left Soul alone with it.
Yeah, but you're still going to be having a decent amount of tower chunk, and losing a tower this early is not what Royalty want. They can just keep, especially if they can keep their towers up now, then they can be a lot more relaxed, a bit more calm. Not a single tower has really fallen, and the only tower with the most damage on it currently right now is Suspira's, and even then, I'd say it's about a quarter down. It's very, very little. It's just been a lot of team fighting and a lot of farming.
Not elected to go into the Ick Vial is the Goros, instead of going straight into that Executioner. Doesn't really need to go up against Pure Might as this magical ADC. But it would have been nice for the 10 penetration go up against Calcification, Desecrator Trilogy, and Cryopraetor. So, again, it's a bit of a win-loss situation there. Do you go for that extra 5% attack speed and 10 penetration, or do you go for this extra protection shred from the execution? He decided to go for option B. But Suspira, going a very old archaic build, the season 0 for mana build with that Fatalis and Sprint. I mean, there is really going to be no escape from this big baby. 2 relic slots left for royalty. One of them has to be a curse.
Yes, if they don't pick up a curse, they're basically shooting themselves in the foot. Even if they do pick up a Brawler's Speed Stick, even if they get a Pestilence, they need a lot of anti-heal just because of the amount of heal. And Thagoras getting hit by the Whirlwind, but the Supernova just not able to connect.
Again, they're going aggressive onto the Goros, but Royal Custard doing the best in his zone. 300 has been used. Down to half HP is Royal Custard. The snipes coming out from Thagoras doing what they needed to do, which is zone Corvidae away from the fight. But the Gold Fury being started up once again, and Wrath is available. No way Royalty can really steal this unless they kill this Hombat.
And now Cryopraetor has rotated, and Shan getting extreme low thanks to the Stellar Burst, but now forced into that Draconic form. And Thagoras is getting dived in the backline thanks to the cavalry charge of Cryopraetor.
Not gonna be able to find him, and Shank is also a bit low. Trilogy gonna get stunned, but he's leap safe. Cryopraetor gonna get first kill on this fight onto Shank. Pure Might forced away. Suspira does what he can to zone the rest of the team away from the rest of his team. And Gold Fury gonna get looked at once again. This time, one less member for Royalty to defend this with.
And you're starting to really see the positives that comes from Corvidae's job. Look at their health bars. After that massive 20-second team, and they're all basically at full health. And they also are able to get that Gold Fury. Suspira is put extremely forced to pop the sprint to try and run over, but a beautiful grab from Calcification.
Oh, that Nature's Grasp was so good. But the root is not going to be there from Desecrator. Suspira dashing away. Looking to try and cut him off is Cryopraetor, but Hazy doing what he can to zone Royal Custard as well. Just making sure that the slows are there to allow Suspira to get away. Helping out the mana when he needed it most. Tower in mid lane, not going to be the target. Instead, the speed buff is going to be the focus here. Oh, but Suspira, again, he's lazy backing. Ooh, the Sacred Monkey not going to be teleported to by Trilogy as they're forcing the mana to stay out in the field that much longer.
And Calcification getting slowed there by Royal Custard, but there comes the Fino over onto 2 members as well as the cavalry charge.
Oh, but Royal Custard, he was the one that's caught by the root of Pure Might, cleans him up. 3 kills to 1 is the scoreline right now as Corvidae take the first significant lead of the game, and they're going to take away the speed, they're going to take away the blue, and they're going to take themselves up to a 2,500 gold and 2,600 experience lead. Going to be added to even more if they get this tier 1 tower on the right-hand side.
They are finally pushing the objective. It's very nice to be able to get Gold Furies, it's nice to get kills, but towers are the most important objectives on the map, and getting one down already is a really good stuff for Corvidae. They're just excelling these mid-game teamfights, and Royalty really just watches they're getting bursted down, while the sustain is just too much for them to deal with right now.
Well, the left-hand side, Thagoras gets a tier 1 of his own. Hazy gets a kill as a Calcification. Overstayed there, welcome. Have Corvidae, Suspira goes aggressive with the Trilogy on the backside. One more hit should do Umbrella Rag, catches him as he lands. And that's 2 quick kills for Royals to even up the kill scoreline. Might get themselves a lead here. Suspira diving for Desecrator. One more tick from the Bluestone Pen, and Hazy gets the basic attack and kills Desecrator. 4 for 3 right now for Royalty.
And over in the duel lane, we didn't get to mention that Thagoras actually got himself a tier 1 tower by himself, but he's actually getting boxed out quite heavily by Pure Might, getting hooked extremely low, but he's just going to back off. He's also built into an Executioner instead of the Shin size, looking to really shred the protections away from these tank boots.
Well, he may be going into some critical builds when he finishes up his next item. I could see it being a kin size, I could see it being a Deathbringer, I could see it being a Wind Demon. There's so many options right now for hunters to build into, depending on their playstyle, depending on who they're facing. But right now, with the tank boot meta, the Executioner is core. You need it to tread through the protections, which everybody is building. And then the crits on top of that will mean you will just burst them in 2, 3, maybe even 4 basic attacks.
I just love building a Windy on a Ram, just simply because you have that disparity. You already have a 10% slow from each astral arrow, which can stack up to 3 times, but then you're giving yourself that 10% increased move speed plus a cripple, and very rarely can a hunter or any god really get away. The true way Pure Might could possibly get away is using the Disapparate, but Ram in that late game with crit usually can get someone down easily within about 3 auto attacks, just simply how often he's critting and how fast he's attacking.
Oh, he's attacking very fast right now. Thagoras and Pure Might engaging in an ADC battle up into the air. The Astral Strike already forced to get a Sanctuary from Pure Might. Second shot's going to miss. The third shot's going to hit. The Separate is not going to be good enough. The Purification gets him away from the Fear Weevil on the backside. Royal Custard going to get a kill onto Pure Might. It's going to be a good use of Rattle for Trinity to get him away from the jungle. But Shank is here as well. Needs to hit this stun. Going to hit the on-hand tactics first. And Hazy just teleporting in saying, hey guys, this is a fight that we want to take. This is a fight that we can take. but they're not going to be able to find any more kills. Just the one on Pure Might.
That is absolutely fine for Royalty, especially since they were able to pick up Pure Might, who's been able to kind of been getting away a bit more recently, kind of bringing back that lead towards the grass again, as he is building into the Shin size, giving him that 10% HP shred. But over in the solo lane, we just see Cryopraetor just kind of pushing down that solo lane by himself, and Suspiria is kind of forced to rotate back to ensure that tier 2, sorry, does not fall.
One of the one item I think is really undervalued, especially in this game, Poison Star. Poison Star will reduce your enemy's power output by 20%, but you can really affect how much healing Sylvanas does. And it can be sort of like a hit, it can be like a secondary of anti-hit, but Hazy taking quite low as Cryopraetor invades on this speed, but gonna take a kill for himself with a cavalry charge. Starts out Suspiria as well, and Shank can only just watch in horror as his mid laner falls, as well as his mid tower.
Yes, but Shang trying to defend as best he can, but the heals are just too strong from the conviction. And Trilla just using one more hit with his massive mace sort of object. He's just able to bash it down. And Corvidae getting himself a nice little lead. They may not be ahead in the kills, but the graphs are telling... Actually, no, they're actually still saying Royalty just slightly in the lead. But Gold Fury will be coming up soon. And Corvidae, so far, they've been able to get every single Gold Fury.
You can see how much of a problem this Wrath has caused for Royalty. The fact that Royal Custard has picked up a Wrath as a second relic. It's usually touted as an early game objective relic, and then goes into a late game mechanic as a 1-second stun, slash a fire giant secure if the enemy team doesn't really have too much of a burst, or you don't have too much of a burst potential on that objective. And the Nemesis, while she does not have any hard CC in her kit per se, doesn't really need the Wrath to secure kills by herself. She's more of a team-oriented, we're going to kill this one person because they have no protection sort of god.
Yes, and if you can find someone like Desecrate or find someone like Sylvanas, you can quite easily pick them up. We haven't really talked about Desecrate on that Neve too much, but Neve has one of these very glaring issues where her backflip is one of the most predictable escapes in the game, and the distance is about the same as the Swift Vengeance of Nemesis, or basically almost anyone on the side of Royalty, making Desecrate a very easy target in the late game if she does get caught out of place.
I also mentioned it's very easy to bait out the backflip as well. You can also tell exactly when Neith is going to be backflipping because she's basically attacking you and all of a sudden she turns her back to you to then just get some distance away from you. And it's something to watch out for. It's something that high-level players will notice and will try to work on both sides of that argument.
Gold Fury now being started up by Corvidae, but Royalty are in the area, so they're just using the whips to heal up and kind of just waiting to see how Royalty will react as Cryopraetor is pushing up the solo lane still, kind of forcing Suspiria to stay in the lane, otherwise they will lose that tier 2 tower, and now Cryopraetor is rotating across.
This makes it a 4 versus 5 in Corvidae's favor. They need to engage soon unless Suspiria makes this rotation incredibly quickly, at which point it will be a 5 versus 5. They need to make sure they take the fights when they have the advantage, and they're just not doing so right now. As Royalty playing so far passive, just waiting for Suspiria to make his rotation. He's taking an aggressive path again, and he gets caught out once again. Gold Fury going to get started up by Corvidae. This time the Wrath is up for Royalty, meaning that they do have a chance here to steal this one.
Yes, and they're diving in, but the Fear No Evils of nice strong on the screw pressing time, nearly stealing, but Corvidae able to take it, and Royal Custard though, getting a revenge kill onto Desecrator.
Royal Custard going to be going in onto Calcification, who's solo. Shank with the kill. Two lose out on the
Yes, as they take down the tier 2 tower, having a look at the graphs, it's now still going very favorably in the way of XP when it comes to Royalty, 2,400, but the gold difference still sticking just at basically 0, as Corvidae has been able to get every single, all 3 of the Gold Furies this entire game. Just kind of keeping them in the spot, that's the one thing they can have as a saving grace, but 7-4, the kill gap is starting to get bigger and bigger, and Royalty, they're starting to hit harder and harder. And Trilogy actually taking quite a lot of damage there as he's trying to basically ward around that Fire Giant area with Vagoras. And now it's just basically Corvidae having to back, as well as Royalty, just looking around this Fire Giant area. They've all hit quite high levels now. This is the point in the game to really start to see teams want to fight around that Fire Giant. Yeah, so if we have a look at this game right now, currently, Royalty, they're in actually a pretty decent position, especially now that the Vimana hasn't picked up a Pestilence and the Fafnir is building into a Witchblade. The Witchblade will be really nice against not just the Neath, but as well, even though the Soul isn't affected by the fact that the attack speed is going to be reduced by the Witchblade. It is going to be quite an interesting Fire Giant fight, especially since the Fear No Evil. So especially since the Fear No Evil is just such a strong objective secure, but then you can use the Fafnir Draconic form to just basically deny any of that CC happening to you.
Well, the Fire Giant is going to be the next objective for both of these teams as the game on pauses. And Corvidae, they're not in a position right now to really aggress and be the ones to try and initiate this fight. So you have to wait for Royalty to do that. The Calcification on the Sylvanas, he has the Sprint and he has the Curse. Two powerful relics are chasing and escaping from fights, but it does not allow him to initiate with a Blink Wrath of Terror ultimate. Meaning that there's very little in the way of Corvidae to really get the engagement that he wants to outside of the Fear No Evil from Trilogy.
But I feel like the Fear No Evil is really there for the beads burn, and then with the Wrath of the Terror being a knockup, you can't purify that ability. So especially once any of the purification has been burned, and the Sylvanas can get in a decent position, especially since he can use the Guan Yu Cavalry Charge as well as another beads burner. They just have all these different ways to possibly go around Royalty and try and pick them up. But it looks like Royalty are now trying to pull up a pincer maneuver onto Corvidae.
Classification, he's got no escape, he's going to get stunned. They're trying to force out the Wrath of Terror ultimate. They're going to body block him in between the Vimana and Nemesis and do half his HP. They're going to try and sustain him up with Cryopraetor as well as the Wisp from Classification himself. Desecrator quite low, forcing out the backblade through space and time as well as the sights from Rama. Sanctuary has immune both of them, and he's already back up to half HP.
Yes, and thanks to the meditation, Desecrator is now just ready to go back in, but Fire Giant being started by Royalty as the pick-me-up is used by the Rama as he's getting hit by those molten rocks of fire. Over in the solo lane though, Suspiro by himself is about to get hit by the Whirlweaver, but pops the big baby form, and he is looking to go in possibly.
I don't think Suspiro really needed to pop that ultimate there. That was kind of a waste. And maybe he didn't realize that he wasn't getting chased there, but from where we were standing, he turned around to see if that lethal ultimate was about to hit him in a position where they would go on him, and then he used the ultimate anyway.
Yeah, so that is actually going to change the fight quite drastically, especially since he wants to be, once he gets that the Frostbrand Hammer online, he's going to be looking to pull that big baby Fatalis and Frostbrand and just slow everyone on Corvidae. But now that he's wasted, Corvidae, they can just look to go in for a fight, and they understand that they've just got a free ultimate. And Neath ultimate, especially since it's not going to be doing that much damage, she has opted into the Ninja Tub. Usually we see Neaths opt into the Warrior Tub since they are much more ability based than they are actually auto attack based. But instead, it looks like that Corvidae got themselves a very nice lucky break, and they need to push them down.
And we've seen in double ADC compositions like the one Corvidae have drafted, the Neath go into more of an ability-based hunter build with pretty much full penetration with the Jotun's Wrath, Titan's Bane, as well as a broader speed seeker, possibly even a Titan's Bane, the good old split push Loki build. I'm sure everyone out there has had a taste of that one. As they engage it on the speed bump happens, and Corvidae, they're looking for this fight, they're going to pull it back in with that Fear No Evil as well. Rollcaster going to be the mark here, but the Divine Judgment does what it can. Not enough to make Nemesis super tanky and escapes. The Spear in the back line do what he can. And just zoning away three members. Desecrates are quite low. He's trying to get the kill. Through space and time erases him from the map and does half the HP of Pure Might.
So Spirit just using that Fatalis as much as he can to try and get Pure Might. Pure Might getting extremely low to separate just on the Might to able to duke away from Suspira and getting away on minuscule amounts of health. But Cryopraetor still diving the backline against three members with only 25%, but Trilogy is there to help, throwing out a Sacred Monkey just to give them a bit of space, adding a little bit more burst. And our Corvidae have been completely zoned away from the Spire Giant, while Royalty, they have free reign now to enter the pit.
So far, both the junglers in this game have been pretty subdued, both of them limited to their engages, and they're both of them falling to the wayside. Right now, I'm looking at both the solo laners, Suspira and Cryopraetor. One of them is doing the job of zoning away the backline and doing as much damage as possible effectively. That's going to be Suspira on this for mana, whilst Cryopraetor, he needs to take up this more supportive role and make sure that he can peel and heal for the rest of his team where needs be, because right now, Vimana is just running through the backline like a truck.
And now that he's finished off the Frostbound Hammer, it's going to be even more so. It is going to be really, as you said, like, it's going to be on Cryopraetor to basically do the job of Casification at the same time. Because even though Casification, he has those whiffs to heal, he has the CC, but his heal is only heal over time. It's little heal ticks, and that's why they need Cryopraetor to be really on point when it comes to his heals. Even though it's up fairly often, he needs to build up his stacks for his heals, and if he doesn't have the stacks there, or just use that heal at just the wrong moment, that can really cost them. Now that Royalty can do a lot more burst damage and really deal with them. They have the Divine Ruin, the Brawler's Beatstick, the Pestilence, and even now a Curse as well. They have all these anti-heal items, just making Corvidae's life miserable.
Golf Fury are going to be started out by Suspiria and Thegoras, but they're going to be spotted out here by Trilogy. They're just going to drop that objective right away. Going to be catching out Cryopraetor though, and the rest of the members of Royalty as they look to try and get a pick off for themselves, but without their main damage sources there, it's going to be very difficult to kill this tanky Guan Yu.
Now both Corvidae and Royalty are going to be completely just grouped up in this mid lane, just kind of eyeing each other off, not really able to do anything, locked in the stalemate, just waiting for each other to engage in that right moment when just one of them is out of position. But currently both teams, they just can't find that break they need to fight, and Corvidae, that is now going to be making their way towards the Fire Giant pit, possibly just to bait Royalty and see if they actually fall for it.
Well, Corvidae, they, like I said before, they can't really be the ones engaging on fights, they can't really be the ones baiting. Yes, they got the sustain, but the burst from Royalty has just been too much for Corvidae to handle at this point, and it's been showing its ugly head throughout the entirety of the game. They got the first Gold Fury, they immediately lost the ensuing fight in the mid tower. They got the second Gold Fury, they lost the ensuing fight and yet another tower. Then they lost the third Gold Fury, guess what? They lost another tower. And Royalty have been good so far and make sure that they punish Corvidae for their mistakes.
Yeah, and I feel like Corvidae haven't been able to punish back Royalty whenever they've been winning. Just having a look at the tower difference, especially since that mid lane tower is gone, that is really one of those key towers gone. And if Royalty, they can actually just get that T2 down in the dual lane and allow Thegoras, give him that one moment to basically split push, as he's now split pushing this Gold Fury all by himself without a single bit of ward vision and no one in the area knowing.
Well, whilst he's over on this left-hand side, the right-hand side is completely free for Corvidae as a 4 versus 5 breaks out. He's going to teleport himself through the wall. Shag not going to get hit by that root. Royal Custard as the Spirit doing what they can to make sure Trilogy don't sneak away this Fire Giant, as they can potentially do with their comp.
Yes, they have the Phenova, they have the Supernova, they have all these different ultimates to ensure that they have that Gold Fury secure. But now Royalty are able to find Cryopraetor with the Divine Judgment, and goodbye, Cryopraetor. He just disappears in an instant.
But a 4-man Raptor Terror gets Sylvanas out and out of there, but up in the air goes Rama. Third shot going to be off the mark, down to a tiny bit of lag, making sure that Calcification gets himself out of there. A-OK, Hazy, who means attacked by Desecrator. Suspiria gets a kill onto Trilogy. That's 2 for 0 so far. Desecrator going to be the next one to fall after Pure Might. That makes it 4 for 0. Calcification, he stacks up with the Chocolate Block for Suspiria. This is going to be a full 5 for 0 if they can pick up the Sylvanas, and that will be pretty much curtains for Corvidae. So Fire Gen will fall down. The next few towers will fall down as well. And this is looking pretty bad if you're a fan of the boys in red.
Yes, Royalty now forced it back because they're all very low in HP. If they were to do Fire Giant now, they'd just be throwing away. They're just playing it very patiently, very safely. The only person who will be up anytime soon is Cryopraetor, and he is not going to be able to do too much versus 5 members in a Fire Giant pit. Just Royalty doing an extremely great job in that team fight. What you said about Corvidae initiating is exactly what happened. They tried to initiate, they tried to bait, and Royalty was like, okay, we'll call your bluff. And they kicked a Cryopraetor instantly, just denying them a lot of that instant heal that made Corvidae's lineup. That's why they drafted the Guan Yu, and they just lost it in that team fight. And this is now what's going to cost them.
A teleport from Cryopraetor into the backline to try and do what he can to get them off this Fire Giant, but he does not have a Wrath. The Divine Judgment has already come down. Royalty get the Fire Giant and immediately destroy Cryopraetor. The Will-Be Rollspit comes out as well, but barely tickles Shank. And that Fire Giant's going to heal him up back to full HP as quickly as you could think. And his tower on his tier 2 tower on this right hand side is going to be the next objective to fall. It could be the Phoenix next.
Well, we haven't really been able to talk about it too much, but Fafnir and Ram was one of the scariest combinations of the game, with Chorus giving you 50% attack speed, combine that with a pick-me-up, and Ram is attacking faster than you can blink. They just completely push up the solo lane tower, and now they're actually going to look to push up the mid tower as well, just to try and secure both Phoenixes and make it just that much harder for Corvidae to come back. But if Royalty, if they are able to get this final tower as well as the 3 Phoenixes, as you said, it will be curtains. I
think the scariest thing for me to face would be an Apollo and Fafnir combination. If he activates Coerce at the right time, then Apollo gets a 150% attack speed boost out of absolutely nowhere, and it just catches everybody by surprise and kills you.
Yes, but even though I feel like the Ram is slightly better in the team fights, just simply because the Slow and the Cripple is a lot better in the form of CC compared to a Mez and a very minor knockup. As Gold Fury, now being started from Royalty, just completely clearing out the entire map, just ensuring that they stay ahead well and truly. As have we look at the graphs, 12,200 XP as well as 8,100 gold. This game is changed in an instant after that one failed team fight by Corvidae. Royalty now have complete control of the late game, and this is exactly what they wanted.
It's just about that cryo and classification, both at the same time. Step 1, too many feet out of position, and Royalty capitalized on it beautifully. As we were talking about at the picks and bans, both of these teams haven't really been able to punish other teams' mistakes as effectively as the other teams in the league, but Royalty this game, possibly even this set, have been able to do that beautifully.
Yes, and that's what Nemesis does. She punishes people who are out of position, especially the Guan Yu. It doesn't matter they have only 2 stacks to height of the Urchin. You don't have that many protections. Doesn't matter. 50% of them basically gone in an instant. And not to mention, since she was around that level 17 and level 18 mark, she was also stealing 45% of their current HP. And then all Shang had to do was just throw out the hammer, get that last extra bit of CC, hard CC into there, and allow them to finish off the Guan Yu. And that's all they have to really do. If Royalty keep doing exactly what they've been doing at that Fire Giant, just do it out of Phoenix, they should easily be able to finish off this game in the next 5 minutes.
And I love the builds coming out from Royalty. They've all built into some form of anti-heal. The Pestilence from Suspira, the Crawler's Pizza coming out from Rolkus and Anthigorus, the Divine Ruin from Hazy, as well as the Curse coming out from Shaggy. Might even go into another anti-heal or item as this finalized. But Akko Sophia Weevil as Trilogy looks to try and engage this fight. The shell has been popped. The 3 space in time hits 4 people. And Pure Might in the long trouble. Suspira does what he can in the backline. Trilogy do what he can to zone out the rest of the front line. But Cryopracer is erased before he can hop up his horse. Trilogy also falls down 2 swift kills. A third one's going to follow as Pure Might going to get sniped from the sky.
Shank picking up the final last little tick onto Pure Might as classification falls through the portal. Now Royalty, they have absolute free reign on this Titan. This Titan is disappearing faster than you can even see it, and that will be GG game number 1 going to Royalty for the first game of the season.
Yeah, Royalty, they found themselves their first win of this split. Corvidae, they've also got themselves 1 win so far, so the next team to win will have 2 wins overall. It's going to be an exciting time. Both these teams performed well so far this split. Royalty showing that they do have what it takes to take games off some of the other OPL contenders. And I like the plays coming out from them. I like their builds. I like their team synergy. Can they consolidate that in the next game?
Well, if Corvidae are smart, then straight away we'll ban the Nemesis. Like, that was the one fatal mistake that really cost them this game. This scenario, I can understand banning him. He's still definitely one of the strongest top three junglers. But Nemesis right now, especially in a meta where you're building so many protections, you just can't let her through until she's nerfed next patch. And that's exactly what they did.
So we're going to cut to a short break. We'll be back with the picks and bans of the second game after this.